Welcome to Transformed Lives program on Church of Uganda Family TV, broadcasting live from the heart of Kampala. My name is Brenda Mahooro, sitting in for Adrian Austin Mokalazi and Dr. Robert Murutaji. And today we have an amazing personality, man of God, and is going to be sharing about his story, and you're going to love everything about his story, and I'm sure you're going to learn a lot. And tonight we have an amazing personality. Welcome with me the Right Reverend Dan Zoreka, who is the second bishop of the Diocese of Kinkizi. Bishop, you're very welcome, and we are very honored to host you on Transformed Lives program.
Thank you very much, Brenda. It's my pleasure to be with you today.
Wow. So you're going to be sharing about your story. How did you grow up? Was it easy to grow up? Did you grow up with your parents? How was it? Your relationship with your parents, like your life story.
Thank you, Brenda. I'm Bishop Dan Zoreka. I became bishop on the 10th October 2010. I was born from a Christian family. Actually, my mother was a strong and staunch Christian. My father actually was, I may say, he rarely went to church. He was a nominal Christian. But to be simple and articulate about this is that I was born from a polygamous family. My mother was the first wife to my father, and he was married officially in the church. My father's occupation was tailoring. And what did that mean? He rarely stayed at home. He used to move around in all places, Kasese, Kampala, Kisoro, and as a result of that, my mother was the first wife, wedded in the church. My stepmother was a Mutoro, and another stepmother was a Tanzanian. Another stepmother was a Mufumbira. Those were four who I know because they were staying at home. But depending on the season, my father had more than 6 wives. The major source of income was coffee growing. So when the season came for coffee, and there was a lot of money, my father would bring another wife. So I grew up from a polygamous family. And what does that one mean? It was all about a mother with her children. So for us, in my family, actually I am the 4th born. We were born 7 in the family. Our first born was a girl, the second born was a boy, the third born was a boy, and I'm a 4th born. The 5th born was a girl, 6th born a boy, and 7th born a boy. So we were 7 children, 5 boys and 2 girls. But I want to say, I grew up in good hands of a mother who was a strong Christian. For me, by the age of 6, my mother would always tell us to go to church. She was actually a church warden, and she died in 2008 when she was still a church warden. So she was a strong Christian, and she brought us up in that Christian environment. She taught us morals, she instilled discipline, and we grew up in that environment. But the environment was challenging. You know what it means for a mother to look after 7 children. And you know it was a competition. My mother, our house was competing with the houses of other women. But what I want to say was a good thing is that we grew up as children from these 4 women loving each other. That one was good. But there were not enough resources to cater for our needs. What I know vividly, I have struggled in my education career. I started to pay my personal school fees in 1973 when I was in primary 3. We were actually always sent away from school because my mother was not able to pay school fees. building fees all the time. So we were victims. Every week the head teacher would say, okay, go home. You have not paid school fees. So in a week I would be sent home like 3 times. And it was by the grace of God that I was able to attain the education I attained. But what I know, we grew up through struggles. Survival, actually. Survival was a problem. But our mother was a strict person. One, she ensured that we were disciplined children. Secondly, she ensured that we must work with our own hands. And I want to tell you, we lacked no food. Because we were there, every day we would wake up early, go to the garden, dig, and at 8, then we would go to school. But we had issues of financial constraints. And because of that, I remember in 1973, they sent me home from school, and that was almost going to be the end of my story to acquire education. And I think it was by the grace of God that I just said, now how do I survive? Because I liked education very much. And I was not dull, I was clever. I was always either the first, the second. I wouldn't exceed the 5th position. I want to tell you, my first business, that's when I developed an attitude of doing business. Actually, from our home to a trading center, it was like 5 kilometers. So my first business was to do business selling banana fibers.
Your first business?
My first business. Where was I taking these banana fibers? To the butcheries. During that time, they used to wrap meat in banana fibers. So what I did, every evening I would go to a banana plantation, collect banana fibers, tie them in a bundle, and on a Saturday, carry them to the butchery. They would give me 10 cents or 5 cents. That was 1973. That was my first business. My second business was trading in fried G-nuts, karanga, commonly known as njugu karanga. So I would go to these people in the market, buy a kilogram of G-nuts, go and roast them, and then sell. After selling, I would take the interest, or the amagoba, and then pay off the other money. So my first business was banana fibers. Second business, selling fried G-nuts, selling ripe bananas. My other business was to fry cassava. I know how to do it. My third business was trade in pancakes. Pancakes, this is called the brahanda, commonly brahanda in our area. Then, even I know how to prepare charcoal. I would cut these logs, make this pile, cover it very well, and in 3 days, I have charcoal ready to take it. So I developed a business mind, business attitude, and I was looking for fees. I want to assure you, I started to pay my school fees from 1973. And 1977, I was in P7.
So by then, where was your father?
Our father would just leave home, go to Fort Portal, spend there months. He would appear home once in a while, disappear again, go to Tanzania. He would go to Kabale. He would go to Chisoro. For us, he would come home once in 3 months or once in a month. So he was rare at home. We were always with our mother. That's how we grew up in that environment. So regarding my education, as I told you that I started to pay my personal school fees from 1973, I was able to continue with my education because I was really working very hard, looking for money. I even in some occasions go and dig in people's gardens to dig so that people give you money. So I paid my school fees through that. I want to tell you that in 1977, I think by then that was during Amin's regime. Education was not easy. You remember Friday was a holiday, a public holiday, because you know Amin had made this country a Muslim country, and Friday was declared a holiday.
I didn't know about it, Bishop.
You didn't know about it? Because you were over yesterday. But from 1971 to 1977, you know we were in that regime of Idi Amin. So Friday was declared a holiday. We would go back home and then go back to school on Saturday. So Fridays, it would be a day for me to go to these banana plantations. It would be a day for me to prepare making these pancakes to be ready to take them to the markets. But what I want to say at this point is that in 1977, that's when I did my PLE, Primary Leaving Examination. You know, then we are doing only 3 papers, English, mathematics, and general paper.
Really?
Yeah, that was the kind of education then. I want to assure you, I passed with the first grade. First grade was always 210 out of 300.
210?
Yes, that was the pass mark in first grade. From 210, you were in first grade. But I remember in 1977, I sat for my PLE, I passed. I think I got 225. And because I didn't have money, I missed the chance of going to secondary school. I had put my first choice at Mbarara High School, the second choice Makobole, third choice Butobere, but I failed. I could not go to school. And during that time, if you sat for PLE and you did not continue, I was made to repeat because I just wanted to remain in a school. 1978, I repeated P7. Yet in 1977, I had passed, but I didn't have money to take me to secondary school. 1978 also, I sat for my PLE. Do you know? I also passed.
Wow.
234 out of the 3 papers. I was in a good first grade. I didn't have money.
All that time you were paying for your self-tuition?
I was paying for myself, buying uniform, books, name it. I could not afford to get school. By then I had put my first choice in Nyakasura. Another choice was still again in Mbarara High School. Another one in Chinyasano. Another one Kigezi College Butobere. I could not go because I didn't have funds. And you know, it was funny then. If you didn't go for a secondary school and you wanted to continue with education, you'd opt also to go back. Do you know what happened? 1979, I went back to primary 7.
You did 77, and then 78, and then 79.
78, my second time, now 79. Now, you know, in primary 7, when time comes, they say, okay, you fill forms and make choices. For my third time, that's when one of the classroom teachers told me that, do you know, Dan, if you put your first choice in a teacher training college, there they don't charge school fees. In a TTC, it is free education. What you do, you just need transport to take you to the TTC, and you will train and become a teacher. I opted to put my first choice in a teacher training college. Actually, my first choice was St. Augustine Teachers College, Butiti, in Fort Potro. That is Toro.
From here you
Yeah, from here.
Wow.
My first choice was in a teacher. I made a resolution to now choose a teacher training college. So in 1979, and you know, that was the time when Amin was overthrown, by the way. If you don't know, he was overthrown in 1979 by the Tanzanian forces, Chama Pinduzi. But some of you are still younger, you don't. It was a terrible year. However, I did my PLE and passed. I passed.
Again in 79?
Yes. And then I was admitted St. Augustine Teachers College Butiti. I went for training to be a grade 2 teacher. It was not easy because even getting transport from here to Fort Potro, it wasn't easy. What I know happened to me is that the first year took place in 1980. That was the aftermath of the Liberation War. Those of you don't know what it meant at that time. Roadblocks were everywhere by the Tanzanian soldiers. After every kilometer, there was a roadblock. And from my home area in Kanungu, Chihihi, I will pass through Rukunjiri, go to Ishaka, Katunguru, Kasese, Fort Potro, then Butiti, which is in now current Chenjojo district. It was not easy. But good enough, there were many buses, UPC buses called Twaliri. And during that time, students were allowed actually to freely go through those buses if you negotiated with the bus owners. So what I remember vividly to avoid missing my opportunity, I remember first term 1980, when I went, I remained at school. I didn't come back for the holiday for first term. And for me, whenever the school closed, I would go to work in the tutors' homes, casual labor. Do you know that I learned the skill of picking tea? In Toro, yeah, you know Toro is an area where tea grows very well. So I remember the first time I went to one of the tutors' homes, he had the tea chambers, and I learned how to pick tea leaves. Second term was the same. Third term, at the end of the year, I managed to get transport from my casual labor, and I came home. The arrangement in the education system then was that in second year, you'd go for child study. That was the type of education in the teaching profession, especially teacher training colleges. So, but what I want to tell you briefly is that during the 4 years, because a teacher training college, for you to be a grade 2 teacher, you would spend 4 years. First year, second year, teaching child study. Third year, teaching practice. Fourth year, you finish your exams and you come and you are deployed. But what I want to tell you is that 1980 I was in year 1, 1981 year 2, 1982 that was year 3.
And then 83.
1983 I was supposed to go for my final year. Do you know what happened? No. I fell sick. I came here at home and I fell sick. It was a terrible disease. Actually, I survived narrowly. I missed term 1, I missed term 2. And term 2 was meant for final teaching practice. I missed the whole year, and I wrote back to the school. They gave me a dead year, 1983. It became a dead year for me. I did not go back. So I went back in 1984, and I was given a chance to go to the final year. Because of what I had gone through, actually I didn't do well in 2 papers, Foundations of Education and mathematics.
After, because of this year that you had missed, yes, the 1883.
I survived narrowly. So I did the final exams in 1984. I passed the teaching practice, but for the other papers, I failed the 2, Foundations of Education and mathematics. But then I want to tell you, during that time, education was not really valued. Actually, many people decided to leave education and go for other professions. Teachers were not recognized. The pay was very little. You could not survive, by the way. Even the teachers were regarded of people of a low class. The way they dressed was poor because they were not catered for very well. Actually, in 1984, when I completed teacher training, I came because I did not have the certificate. I was given an opportunity to work as a licensed primary school teacher in my local area. And I went and taught at a certain primary school where I attended my primary education. I was teaching social studies, I was teaching mathematics, teaching upper classes, that is primary 5, primary 6, primary 7. So I think that was Obote II regime now. You know, Amin was overthrown 1979. And Obote came back from exile. From 1980-81, that's when we did an election, if you remember, but for you, you don't know those days. So I started during the time of Obote II regime, and then still when I came, that was when NRM was fighting the Obote regime. 1985, you know that war, the Ruero War, the rebels and what have you. And for teachers, we suffered a lot. And in 1986, I decided to quit education. I went to Bunyaruguru. I left education and I quit education because, you know, here, like we were staying in Kanungu, by then, head teachers were paid from Rukunjiri. The head teacher would go, collect salaries of teachers, come and first inject them in the business. You do not know that salaries have come.
By then.
By then. And you would teach like the whole term, no salary, yet you needed other essentials, soap, what. So teaching was the worst profession by then. Teachers were hated, were laughed at. Even the school children would abuse you. Some of them were not putting on shoes, putting on these rugabires made from tires. It was a terrible situation. I said, no, I cannot survive here. I went to Nyaruguru to engage in timber. Do you know that I know how to cut timber using this saw? I know how to cut timber. I went to Buweju for casual labor to cut timber. You know how to cut timber? I know how to cut timber. I was there from the whole of 1986 and 1987. During that time, the NRM government was trying to recruit people to go to police, to go to NRA. I said now, for 1 year I left that job and I came back home. I tried to be recruited into the army. Actually, I went to attend the recruitment, but they actually registered me and promised that I go home and come back the following day. You know, I was engaged in these alcoholic drinks and other things.
Bishop, you were engaging, like you were taking them.
In worldly things, taking alcohol, you know that kind of life, how it can make you. So I was like an addict. I was a good smoker. I have smoked even the marijuana, I know. I experienced all those because of the peer pressure and the bad groups that we were engaged in.
Yeah, so Bishop, you're going to share more of that story because you said that your mother was this Christian person who.
But I was now a grown up. I could do things on my own way. Though I know I was from a Christian family. But what I want to tell you, though I was engaged in those bad practices, I would not miss attending Sunday in our local church. And that was the key. My mother had actually mentored us very well. Actually, I attended my Sunday school during those early days. Actually, I started to read the Bible when I was 7 years. So I was a good Bible reader.
A good Bible reader?
A good Bible reader.
So how did you engage yourself into the alcohol?
Pressure, you know what it means, peer pressure. You know what it means. These stages of development. I found myself carried by these other age mates, going to these night dances. You know that kind of life can take you somewhere. So I found myself there taking all alcoholic drinks.
At the age of what?
At the age between now 16, 17, 20. That kind of life, you know, for youth they say, okay, we are enjoying life, but you know it is detrimental to your life. So I was there in the world, another foot in the church. I was like that, pretending. I had not committed my life to Jesus Christ. So, 1987, when I came from Nyaruguru, I now decided to join the army. I missed that first recruitment because they registered us and told us to come early in the morning so that we go to Mbarara. But when I left the registration ground, I went into one of the local bars and we spent the whole night drinking. We were needed at the recruitment center the following day at 7.
Had you forgotten?
Because I was drunk, I couldn't. We spent the whole night in the bar drinking. I remember I went home towards the morning and slept. I slept. Other colleagues who woke up at time came very early in the morning, boarded these tatas, went to Mbarara. For me, I woke up around 10 now during the day, around 11.
When you have hangover?
Of course, hangover was there. I remember, they told us, we were told to go back to Chihi. I left the bed, I ran. Reaching there, say, those who came have been transported. So you have missed. I missed that chance.
How did you feel?
I felt bad. Because I had that courage. Actually, I wanted to be an army man. And also, I developed that attitude in 1974. We had Amini's soldiers. Those guys were ruthless. When I was in this business of selling fried G nuts in our market here in Chi, one army man was drunk He took the whole plate of fried G nuts.
That you were selling?
Yes, I was selling. I had bought it on credit and I wanted to pay back. He took the whole of it, poured it in the pocket of his uniform, gave me a good slap, and I went.
Oh my God.
I cried, I said, but I say I was helpless. I saw authority in a gun. In my heart, I made I say, one day I will be a soldier and I will also terrorize people. You know, during Amin's time, those guys, they were the authority. What I remember vividly, their barracks was just somewhere in our area at a border point called Dishasha. And we had a market day. They would bring their vehicle, put it at the entrance of the market. They would grab whoever, every woman, by force, without negotiating. Carried all women,
and you would see all these people.
You had nothing to say. I said now, but all authority is in a gun. This man has taken my G-nuts. They always go to the market, carry other people's women, and bring them back. You see, during Amin's time, if they knew that you had something like money, they would invade your home, take away the money. They would even come to your home, and if you were married to a beautiful woman, they took her. You had nowhere to go. That was the kind of life. So for me, I say, okay, I must also become a soldier so that I terrorize people.
That was your intention?
That was my intention because of the experience of this soldier who took away forcefully my G-nuts. So I grew up with that in my mind that one day I need to become an army man, to go and steal people, invade people's shops, because I saw authority in a what? In a gun. So now, 1987, I tried also my second chance. I went to Rukunjiri. They were recruiting police officers. Now I went there with my documents, and these people who are recruiting say, for you, seems your profession is teaching, and you know we lack teachers, so we are not taking you. Huh? I missed it again.
How did you feel?
I felt very bad. I felt very bad. So I came. So 1988, I said, now I have failed to go for army, now police, I've been left out, so what do? I went back to teaching.
Which you had?
Yeah, which I had. I went back to teaching and I was allowed. I went to one of our local schools called Wangoboka, and I was doing well, teaching science, teaching mathematics, and our children were passing in first grade. But the worst came in 1989. My father fell sick and he died. And when he died, there are so many things that didn't go well, and we had to now face some challenges. Actually, I attempted to upgrade to become a grade 3 teacher, because in Chihi we had a grade 3 training school. But because I didn't have the authentic certificate for grade 2, I attended partially and then I was sent away. That was 1989. Now, I wanted to upgrade, I've missed that chance. I did not finish well because I failed 3 papers. Now what do? I say, okay, let me go and enjoy the world.
You are still having challenges at home?
Yes. So I said now, I resorted to drinking, taking alcohol.
Which year was that?
1989. Then here, there was a black trade called Magendo. Uganda, we were taking coffee to DRC Congo. That was the main trade happening. I just went into that. You do carry coffee to Congo, give you money.
Your head?
On your head, yeah. From here,
Wasn't it very far? How many kilometers were there?
I can imagine they are about from here to Congo. Actually, our home is just across here. I can imagine that it's likely to be like 20, 30 kilometers from here to the border. But we would carry it on our head, 30 kilograms, 40 kilograms, sell, come with money, drink it off from here, drink everything. When it is finished, you go back. It was a funny business. But I want to tell you, though I was engaged in that kind of life, I knew every Sunday I would go to church. Actually, I was made a youth leader of our parish.
You were a youth leader?
I was engaged in those funny things.
And you were engaged into the world
yes.
things?
I knew how to read the Bible. Actually, every Sunday I would read the lesson. But during the night, I'm in these other nasty things. And my parish priest came. He saw me. He saw I was gifted in reading the Bible. I actually was made a youth leader. I was also made a member of the parish council. So there was a need in our diocese then. They needed lay readers, babulizi. So when my parish priest went to attend the archdeaconal meeting, and the archdeacon communicated that message from the bishop, Bishop Leti Eustace Ruhindi. By then we were under North Kigezi Diocese. Kinkizi was still under North Kigezi. So the parish priest who was attending that archdeaconal meeting said, in my parish, I have a younger man. I have to submit his name. This parish priest called Nyirimanzi, he submitted my name without consulting me. They wanted us to go to attend interviews for recruitment. So he left there my name. He came and told me, do you know, Dan, there is a need in the church for lay readers. So I have submitted your name. I say, what? How can you? Why didn't you ask me? I cannot like this church life, it is dull. There is no life in being a musomesa. Because for me, I thought life was in spending nights in these dances with women,
so you
drinking
thought church
alcohol.
Life was boring.
I said church life is boring. I am a church goer, but I don't want to be a church minister. But my mother was the happiest person. For her, she said she was ever playing, my children, you are doing what? So they gave us time to go for interviews at the archdeaconry. By then it is where the current Sunday headquarters are, Nyakatali. But in my mind I said, but now I don't know. In the church ministers, always their work is to preach. I don't know how to preach. I don't know the Bible. So let me go and attend the interview and fail. But I did that minute to please my mother, because my mother was hard on me. She said, you will have to go and attend the interview. I say, I don't want. She said, you will have to go. I say, I will not go. But the date was fixed and the time came. We were to go to Nyakatale to attend the interview like for today. This parish priest came to check to know whether he had left his phone at home. He said, why haven't you gone so that tomorrow you attend the interview? I say, I don't have means and I don't have transport. He said, okay, do you know, I am giving you my personal bicycle. You know, bicycles were something then. People who had bicycles were very few. He said, okay, I'm giving you my personal bicycle, but you will attend. When he did that, I said, now what excuse do I give? I say, okay, I don't have money. He said, okay, here you have 400 shillings. Have. Now I was in a fix. I was giving an excuse of having no transport. Here is a bicycle. I said, I have no money. Here is 400. That was a lot of money.
Right there, Reverend.
Right there.
Right there, Bishop. Let's just go in for a short break. Bishop's story is so interesting. You're still watching TLP with me, Brenda Mahooro. Thank you so much. Yes, we are here in Kanungu. Yes, with the Right Reverend Dan Zoreka telling us about his story. With me, Brenda Mahooro. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda. So now, I left home that evening to attend the interviews. And I took the bicycle of the parish priest. But when I reached somewhere near Kanungu, I slept in a relative's home, one of the relatives' home. Do you know what happened that night?
No.
We went to the bar, drinking place. I drank all the 400 shillings.
Instead of going to
the interview.
Oh my God.
You know, this was like transport, and they were not charging any interview fee. We drank till after midnight. I was smelling alcohol, cigarettes. Good enough, I slept after midnight. I woke up early in the morning. I continued the journey to the church where interviews were going to take place. I want to tell you, God saved me. I even did the interviews. It was written exam. When we reached there, we were many. I was the youngest. Others were big guys, old guys. I was the youngest. So they just gave us 4 questions to write essays, 4 questions. They gave us papers, pens. If by mistake that archdeacon who was presiding over came near me, I would have dismissed, because I was smelling alcohol. I even had 2 pieces of cigarettes in my pocket. What? In the church. And I started reading my 4 questions. After I remember, I was the first person to finish. I handed over the paper and I went. After a week, results came. And for me, my intention was to go, attend, and fail. After a week, results came. They pronounced I had passed.
Wow.
I passed. I remember news came to my mother when she was in the market and she was very happy. And for me, she brought news, hey, my son has made it. She was happy. And even she had an admission to go to a readers training school. And when they brought that results for me, I say, now, my God, what do I do? Actually, to cut the story short, I wanted to disappear.
Because you
to
didn't
go
want
away because I didn't want to join the church. My plan was to live here and go to Kasese. But what happened? On a Sunday, the Christians organized to give me farewell, to make a package for me. To come, they say, support to the bishop, to our son, who was now going to train as a leader. They organized that. But for me, do you know the plan I had? I wanted them to give me this money so that the following night I wanted to disappear instead of going to the training school. But what I remember that changed every thought of mine, there was a reverend. They had to sing and put their small basket. All people were putting support to our son. And then the reverend said, come here, kneel. We are going to pray for you so that you go with the blessings. That prayer changed everything. The man prayed for me, bless our wife, bless our son. In my heart I said, if I disappear with this money, I receive curses. I feared to disappear. What I decided to go to Chamakanda Bible Training School to train as a lay reader for 2 years. 1989 and in 1990. I went to Chamakanda to train as a lay reader. I want to tell you, for the first year, I was not saved. I had not yet accepted Jesus. I was pretending. Because in a training school for a theological college, they say, you would meet, hey, good morning, I would so pretend to kutenders. But I had never accepted Jesus Christ. What I remember, every night he would disappear to go and take alcohol. By then I was still smoking cigarette. He would climb trees and climb there and smoke from up so that they don't sense the scent of the cigarette.
Yeah. For
the whole year in a theological school, pretending to be saved when I was not saved. But what happened in the second year, 1990? 29th March, 1990. It was Easter. I was hiding in the bush because by
you
then
want to attend?
No, by then people knew me as Musomesa. I was a reader in the making. So they knew I was saved. I was going to be a church leader, but I used to smoke hiding. I used to take alcohol hiding. So during this Easter season, I was hiding in a bush, smoking a cigarette. And the voice found me. They said, Dan, for how long are you going to pretend? It was a voice that came. I don't know where.
You had it clear?
I had it clear.
In the bush?
I was in the bush. I say, my God. I dropped the cigarette. I still had others. And you know, I had got that money from the stolen books, which I had stolen from Butiti Teachers College. I had stolen a good number of books from the library. And I had sold the book, got cigarettes. Smoking a cigarette, using money from stolen books. So what I did after that, I said, let me go to church. I just went to church. There was a gathering of these saved people, including my mother. I found them. I joined them at the altar. We sang at Tendereza. That was another turning moment. The following day was Easter Day. They pronounced, our son has received Jesus Christ. I'll never forget that day.
So that is when you decided to give your life to God.
That's when I committed my life to Jesus Christ. I was now ending my second year training to be a lay reader. So I committed my life. 29th March 1990. I will never forget that time. And life has never been the same since that day. I finished my training. They posted me in one church. These Christians rejected me because I was single. They say, we cannot accept a younger man. He's not married. He's going to impregnate our yard. They rejected me actually. But I went there, reported. Some Christians came to carry my things. I didn't have things. I remember I had a mattress made out of cloth. And for you, you know, you are in a modern world. It was just a mattress. There is the way they used to make it, and then when you cut grass, you put it inside. That will be your mattress.
You sleep on grass?
Yes, that was my first mattress. I didn't have a bed, I was sleeping on the floor. So I went in that church. Do you know, I was rejected to the extent that the first family I visited, this man never allowed me to pray for him.
Because you're not married?
Because they said they never wanted me. They were transferring a senior lay leader and bringing this an experienced leader, unmarried, who has come to impregnate our women. That was the attitude of the Christians. So they rejected me, but I just went there by faith. I visited a neighbor of the church. I said, can we pray? He said, no, I don't want to pray with you. I said, I'm going to say a prayer here. He said, you can pray. And he was picking coffee. What I remember, I said a prayer standing in front of the house. The man, I could hear coffee falling down. Praying. It is a funny story.
And you continued praying?
I continued praying. I finished. I say, amen. He could not even respond.
What did you have in your mind?
I knew I was finished because these guys had rejected me. And you know, when I went to report, the whole church was full to capacity. Do you know why? Everyone had come to see, who is this lay reader? Who is not married? Who has come to impregnate our daughters and our women? Everyone was there. And this first Sunday, what I remember, only 7 Christians attended the service.
Huh?
Only 7. My
7
first
of them.
Sunday. They had rejected me. I said, okay. But what I remember, 2 women who were born again say, okay, don't mind. We will support you. What I want to tell you is that I said, okay, my entry point will be youth. I enjoyed working with youth. I mobilized the youth, started to teach them songs. We could do prayers. I engaged them in a group of saving money. And we started to go out in groups singing, and their parents came. After 9 months, the whole church was full to capacity.
Wow.
We preached the gospel, and people came. Do you know what is amazing? After 1 year, when I say, okay, here I am now settled, a meeting started, the archdeacon say, we are transferring you to the archdiaconal headquarters.
When you had just settled like this?
And I had settled, I had made friends, I had gardens because they had a big chunk of land. I say, I will die here. They transferred me.
How did you feel?
Bad. Do you know what happened? People discouraged me, say, don't take up the transfer. These guys hate you. I carried my things back home.
Because you didn't want to be transferred?
I didn't want to be transferred. But after a week, I came back to my senses. I say, okay, those people loved me, but I went there. At first they didn't like, but they loved me. Now they have appointed me to go to the archdiaconal headquarters. I must go. I went and knelt before the archdiaconal. I said, sorry, I'm sorry for I didn't come the time you had given me, but I'm sorry, I am a project. He said, okay. What they did after that, instead of going to the archdiaconal headquarters, they pushed me in one of the farthest church, which was and that was 1992. I said, okay, I will go. I went into that church. It was a church that was almost falling. But when I reached there, I started to do my work. I mobilized the youth. I preached the gospel. The church was always full to the capacity. I was there 1993, 1994, 1995. We became a diocese. And I am among the pioneer people to be sent for theological training for ordination by the bishop then, who was the first bishop. I was selected.
Who was the bishop then?
Late John Wilson Tegereze. He selected me. I was a good performing lay reader, but still unmarried. I was single. I had a testimony because I was with Jesus Christ.
As we told you that we always bring you amazing personalities here on Transformed Lives program. Yes, we are here in Kanungu. Yes, with the Right Reverend Dan Zoreka, telling us about his story and how he is transformed until now and how he received Jesus Christ. With me, Brenda Mahooro, thank you for watching.